Welcome to BGM, Science of Beauty and Business. I am Coach Angela.
And I'm Coach Dawn.
And today we will be going over lesson 1 of the Pedicuring chapter. All right, Coach Dawn, why is pedicuring so important?
Pedicuring is important because our feet have to last us a lifetime.
Our feet has to last us a lifetime. And it's also the foundation of everything that you do when you walk around. Your people are on their feet 24/7. They put shoes on, they let their toenails grow. Sometimes the feet are, I don't know, it's just the structure. The structure is built from the bottom up. And we're here to tell you guys all about, well, not all about pedicuring, but the beginning parts of pedicuring. The beginning parts of pedicuring. And since you're here, we want to make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. And if this is your first time here, make sure you go back and you check lesson 1 of infection prevention, lesson 1 of manicuring, and just follow us along. But check down in the description below for some great links to visit.
Yes. So today we're going to define pedicuring.
Define pedicuring.
Pedicuring is the basic service for natural nails on the feet. It's basic prep for nail coating products as well. And that just means that when you are taking care of the feet, you're providing a basic service. It is the prep for the natural nail, and you're getting it ready for whatever type of nail coating product or enhancement you're getting ready to do on it.
So basically it's like a manicure for the feet.
Mm-hmm. Like a manicure for the feet.
Just a manicure for the feet. And when we're dealing with the scope of practice when it comes to pedicuring, there could be some misconceptions, but it's the same as manicuring. It's just a tad bit different.
Just a little bit different. So with pedicuring, you're working from the tips of the toes up to the knee. You don't want to go past the knee. Any type of products that you're putting on, any massage manipulations, is all going to stop at the knee.
So everything you can do with a manicure, you can also do with a pedicure. But like Coach John said, you only go up to the knee. So that means from cutting down the toenails, from nipping the cuticles, and from applying callus,
polishing,
tinting. So the same
scrub.
So basically everything you do for manicuring, but definitely on the feet. And I think the feet are just a little bit more relaxing because we talked about that in the manicuring chapter. It's the same thing, but a little bit different.
Yeah, they're a little bit different because you have to think about it. You're walking on your feet the whole time. And we don't always wear the proper shoes for every event that we go to. And sometimes we put a little bit more pressure on our feet than we should. And so getting a pedicure and helping to release that tension in those muscles, the massage is usually people's favorite part, and so we are going to talk about that today. But one of the biggest things is getting routine foot care. I think getting routine basic pedicures is going to be helpful just for the average person. Well,
before we get into that, let's just be real. There's a lot of nail technicians that don't like to do pedicures.
They don't like to touch feet.
And personally, I feel that it is one of the most profitable incomes as a nail technician. So please make sure you're listening to this information and taking it into consideration, because you're fixing more of a problem than just making an enhancement and making it pretty. People really need help when it comes to their feet, and you want to be able to understand that to help.
So when we talk about that, we talk about the body as a whole. When you're talking about the feet are supporting the entire body. So when we go over the anatomy and physiology, don't get afraid. Don't leave us. Stay right here with us, because we're not going to go into all those hard to pronounce terms and the body pieces, and it just gets kind of crazy at that point. Yeah. What we're going to do is just talk about the body as an entire system. It's like a system that works all together, and that's like the biggest part of the funnel, the mouth of the funnel. And then we start to narrow it down. We talk about the skin. When you're dealing with pedicures, you are really dealing with people's skin the majority of the time. You're working on the toes, but then when you're doing the foot scrub, when you're applying massage lotion, all those things are going into the skin. So we really need to be aware of what contraindications look like and things like that. So when we talk about the skin in this part of the service, we need to focus on what normal healthy skin looks like just as much as we focus on the next part, which are the nails. That's going to be the most narrow part of the funnel, the part that we focus on the most. And when you're looking at nails, you also want to know what those contraindications look like. You want to know what healthy nails look like, what a disorder versus a disease looks like. And so we're just going to make sure that, you know, you have a good understanding of that without trying to use all of the technical terms.
Yes, definitely without. I mean, I don't even think we're going to do technical terms.
At all.
The pronunciation of those enough will exhaust me. So when Coach Don was talking about the funnel when we're dealing with the skin, if you missed the Pedicuring chapter, that's fine. But we're also going to make sure you understand the acronym that explains the 6 functions of the skin. And the first one is going to be sensation. Now this is really key because when you're dealing with your client consultation form, you do want to ask the clients like if they are suffering from any kind of diseases, disorders, or sicknesses, because they can be really, really sensitive on their feet. And if you're going in rough, then you're going to cause a lot of discomfort, and you don't want to cause that discomfort to them. And that sensation also comes from water.
From the water.
Definitely. There, you know, pedicures are for everyone, men, women, and children, but you always want to ask the client, how do you like your water? Me, I want my water scalding hot.
I don't.
Like, burn my skin off.
And I'm the opposite. Just give me something that's, you know, it's warm, but I'm not going to be sitting here like I can't dip my toes in the water. So I'm definitely different when it comes to that.
And the feet are more sensitive because they're protected all day long. Most likely your feet on your shoes versus your hands. They're touching things, warm, cold, but your feet aren't, so they are going to be more sensitive. So it is really key to make sure that you know the temperature that your client likes. And even when they don't just put the water in front of them and tell them to put their feet in there, ask them, say, go ahead and tap your foot in there to see if it's okay. And then let them be the judge of if they want more or less. Because a lot of times the clients are not really going to tell you. They may just suffer through it and then they're never going to come back.
Or they'll say, oh, it was just a little hot, but it was okay. And you know, you want to make sure you give them the opportunity. So like Coach Angela said, give them the opportunity to tell you that they would like the water temperature to be different.
Verbal confirmation. Yes. And that brings us also to the next one, which the skin has a heating and cooling mechanism as far as the function. So if the water is too hot, it will heat up, but then the body will try to cool itself off, which will also take you back to the sensation of it, and that's going to make it uncomfortable as well. Or if it's cold, then your body's going to try to warm it up. And I think if it's too cold and people lose feelings, then when you go to do some services on it, they may not know that you cut them if you did because it's numb. So it really is key to make sure, one, client consultation, and you understand the temperature of the water, or do a dry pedicure. But we'll talk about that at another time.
At another time. The next letter in our acronym shapes is absorption. The skin is really good at absorbing things that are great for our body, and it can also absorb things that are not so good. One of the things that is important about the client consultation is to find out if your client is taking certain medications.
Yes.
Now, it's not our responsibility to drag this information out of our clients, but we are providing them the platform to share it with us. And if they're taking a transdermal medication, it's important for us to know about that too. Because if we're putting products on top of that, it could really create a bad situation for them.
Can we explain to them what transdermal medication is? Because someone might not know what transdermal medication is.
That is a big term. It was a big term for me too. Transdermal medication is simply medication that's put on top of the skin, and it's absorbed by the skin into the layers and possibly into the bloodstream. And so you don't want to put your products on top of that if your client is using a medication like that.
And some transdermal medications also are put underneath the armpits, but that doesn't mean that it's because the way it, like she said, absorption comes into the body, and it's really over the whole entire system. So although they may put it underneath their armpits, doesn't mean that their whole entire skin is not still going to be sensitive to it, because it is. So if someone has transdermal medication, athlete's foot also has that kind of medication. You do, like Coach John said, you don't want to put it right on top of it. And those instances, you really want to try to just go with a dry pedicure, and that's it.
Absolutely. And the next letter in our acronym is protection. Our skin does a phenomenal job of protecting us every single day. Our skin is water resistant, it is chemical resistant, it is oil resistant, it is resistant to the environment, to things that you can find inside your home, bug bites, all different types of things. Your skin is really protective of you. It is a protective outer coating. And so you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself and your skin by one of the biggest things is that we don't talk about is wearing sunscreen.
Oh gosh, yes, wearing sunscreen from the top of your head, the crown of your head to the tips of your toes on your feet. Like,
But
you have to.
you only have to wear it on days where it's sunny, right?
No, the sun is always shining. Like,
Okay.
The sun is always out. So you have to be protected from that regardless. And it's not just for estes, it's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
Like, as nail technicians, definitely, I don't know, retail sunscreen. Because I think people overlook that, and then they get to be older and they're like, well, what happened? Well, all the environment around you just cause that wrinkles and lines, things you really don't want to, you want to protect yourself from.
That is the majority of aging, where our aging comes from, is from not wearing sunscreen. Not protecting our skin, which is protecting us for our lifetime. We need to be protecting it from the environment. And one of the best ways to do that is to make sure that you're wearing sunscreen anytime you're going to be outside for a prolonged amount of time. Wear a hat over your skin, just different things like that to really help you protect yourself. But also during the summertime, one of the things we love to do is wear sandals. And our feet are exposed. So make sure that you're taking care of your skin in that way. And then the next letter is going to be excretion. Excretion means that your body is getting rid of things. Think of excretion like an exit point.
Yes.
Think of excretion as things that your body does not use, that your body needs to get rid of. And it's going to be things like sweat and things
sweat.
from your lymph nodes, just toxins from your body. That is that exit portal from your body. That is what excretion is. And our last one,
Secretion.
but not least, is secretion. Secretion kind of goes back to that protection, where secretion is more your body producing things that it actually needs to use to help you stay safe. And one of the biggest things of secretion is sebum. Sebum production is really important to keep the skin lubricated. And one thing that we see as nail technicians a lot is some people overproduce sebum, and it can kind of cause an issue with their enhancement staying on.
That, as well as when we're talking about the feet, though, if you have people that are like, I have a client that's a construction worker, and he sweats in his feet, so his toenails can, with the sweat, and then if he doesn't dry it, because if you don't dry your feet, then water will get trapped in there and water will mold. So it's not really a fungus on his toes, but kind of a mold or water that has molded that it looks, so he has to come in and get that off of there. So when you're thinking about the sebum, it's not just a matter of hand sweating to where your enhancements can't stay on, but since people's feet are in shoes all day, or if you don't wear socks, they have higher exposure to athlete's foot or really sweaty feet that, you know, wrinkle up and then it starts pilling and then they don't understand what it is. So that is going to be key to know when you're working on pedicures and they pull their feet out of their shoes. We like to spray their shoes with what is it called?
Like the shoe deodorant.
The shoe deodorant, you know, just to help them. And it's also a great retail. But that is good because you need to know if their feet sweat. And we have some products that we use that helps with sweaty feet or cold feet. Because, I mean, our feet are everything. Like, you can tell a lot from people's feet.
From their feet. You can tell a lot from people's feet. And just knowing about the skin and knowing how important it is for a person's skin to be intact on their feet, knowing they're closed in all the time, like Coach Angela said, and they're sweating in that moist environment, it can create a lot of issues for a person. What I want to take us into now is talking about the actual service.
Yes.
The products that are involved in doing just a basic pedicure.
I think, like, the first thing people just think they need to scrub. Like, get in there and scrub off the calluses.
Scrub it off with what, though?
Cheese grater.
Of course.
Yeah, you know, like the same thing that you just, with the big...
Just shave all the skin off.
Just shave all the skin off.
Get it all off. That is absolutely wrong.
Just totally wrong. If somebody pulls out a cheese grater that looks like something used in the kitchen or in the garage, throw it in the trash. Like, just throw it away.
If it has holes in it...
Yes.
It should not be used on your skin.
So definitely want to start with the implements because... there's more implements when it comes to pedicuring than it is when it comes to manicuring. And your nippers, your toenail clippers, there's specialized toenail clippers depending on the thickness of the toenails that you can hold. Then you have your cuticle pusher. You also have your tritium remover. You definitely have those. You have the
nail rasp?
The nail rasp. I knew she was going to get it. But you have the nail rasp as well that you can file on the side because you don't really want to clip the side of the nail, because then that can cause ingrowns when the nail grows out and then it grows into the skin, because toenails grow square.
They grow square.
They don't grow round. They grow square for a reason, and that is to protect the toenails. Then we have the lotions, oils, callus removers. There's a lot
We love callus removers.
We love callus removers. And there's specialized ways to put the callus remover on and to take it off. Foot sprays, sugar scrubs, and there's a lot of other things we need to definitely be cautious of when we're doing the pedicures.
For sure. Using the callus remover is one of those things we need to be careful
because it is highly acidic. And if you do not wash it off with soap and water, then it's drying on there and it's going to continue to pry off that skin. Their feet are going to just start peeling, and it's bad.
That was the first time that I dealt with callus remover. You were setting it up for your clients and you were like, put this in the separate containers, and I didn't wear gloves.
Yep.
And then I came to you and I was like, are my fingers supposed to feel tingly and numb?
Like your skin was just prying itself off.
Yes. And you were like, go wash it off now.
Yes.
And that was my first interaction with a product. And I said, oh, I need to take this seriously, because I felt it working in a matter of minutes. And a lot of people don't realize these products are, they're formulated a certain way for a reason. Callus remover is different than callus softener.
Yes, and definitely, because its goal is to remove the callus on its own without any extra help, to be like the little baby feet. So it is way more acidic than a callus softener, which softens it up to prepare you to go ahead and exfoliate it off.
So when we talk about us as far as like our PPE, what's one thing that you would recommend when a person is specifically using callus remover? What are some precautions they should take?
Definitely wear gloves. You have to wear gloves. Although I don't wear gloves on my pedicures, but when I do, if there's going to be any kind of secretion in the skin, then I do wear gloves. Or if I'm dealing with something that is highly irritable, I'm going to wear gloves as well.
Okay. Definitely wear gloves.
Gloves. And I would, you got to wear goggles. And sometimes you might wear a mask depending on the chemicals that you're dealing with too.
Yeah. The chemicals, the filing, and for me, I would probably wear an apron. That's what we started off with. And so we started that was like our baby. We started with aprons, and aprons just help to protect your lap. They protect, especially when you're doing pedicures, that foot is sitting right in front of you. And so if anything falls down and you're wearing shorts that day, it may be hot outside, you have that apron on just to protect your skin so you don't come into contact with those chemicals. So definitely. And then being cautious with additives as well. Some people are really allergic to a lot of things, and you'll hear people ask you about products that are, all these different things free. I'm not getting into that part, but we do just want to be careful about the additives and the chemicals that are in whatever products that we're using. Just some people have allergies to nuts, and they can be reactive to certain substances like lavender, mint, eucalyptus, even down to almond oils, nut oils.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that we're being careful about the products when we are introducing them to our clients. Client consultation is super important.
And now, you're talking about the products. There are a ton of different products that's out there. So we need to probably revisit that transdermal word, because the bottom of the feet, the skin on the bottom of the feet is different than the skin on the top of the feet. And when you are dealing with the bottom of the feet, it's a little bit more sensitive.
That's true.
Than the skin on the top of the feet. So when you're thinking about products that you're using, one, you want to think about the sensitivity of the bottoms of the feet, but also something that is transdermal that is going to actually sit in and continue to moisturize that foot, or dry it depending on the health of the foot that you're going to be using. So this is when you probably want to stick with a product line. And we're going to get into products, but that is one thing that we really push, is using a whole entire line, because they work together like a system.
Like a system. We love that word system.
We love that word system.
We love that word system. That's considered to be product synergy, when you're using products from one particular line and you're not going from product to product mixing up the different types of chemicals. One company is going to make products differently than another one does, so it's really important, if it says to use it as a system, use it as a whole system to get the ultimate best results.
And then when you are any service, like we talked about in manicuring, pedicuring, which is the foundation. So manicuring and pedicuring are definitely the foundation of all services. So just like if you're adding enhancements, there are different types of pedicures, just like different types of manicures. But if you're adding enhancements, should we put their feet in water? No, so we should learn how to do
My
a
suggestion, is a dry pedicure. I learned that from her, by the way. But a dry pedicure. Because what does water make the nails do? They expand.
They expand.
They expand. And you don't want the nails to expand and then you try to put an enhancement on top, because it's going to cause the enhancement to shift. And overall, it's going to lift. So you want a dry foundation. You prep it very well. You remove any type of dead skin, which is called cuticle, off of the nail plate. And you have a very nice clean foundation for whatever enhancement product you're going to use.
Yes, and when you're working with those enhancements, like, so say you do like a gel pedicure, you can put them in water after you put the enhancement on, because it's okay, maybe, but not really soak it in there if you want to clean their feet. But what I normally do is I just clean their feet first, then go ahead, just like washing their hands. You don't want them to go in the sink and try to wash their feet. That's crazy to think of their feet on top of the sink. I don't know where that came from.
What if
I don't know where that came from. But let's talk a little bit about, let's talk about the different types of pedicures. We already said a basic water pedicure, and they start off at about $35 and can take about 45 minutes. They could go a little bit higher depending on what kind of coating that you put on them, if it's a gel or if it is one of the performance polishes. It dries in 5 minutes. We also have the dry pedicure, which we just discussed, which would be with any kind of product that has a setup or a curing time. We have gel pedicures, which is like just a gel polish. But the dry pedicure is the same price. It can go up to about anywhere between $35 to $60. The gel pedicures can kind of go up to almost $85 depending on what you are working with. Then what about the spa pedicures?
The spa pedicure is a big range, depending on what products that you're using and what the products that you're using, but also how long that service takes. A spa pedicure is a luxurious service. And when you're offering that, you want to make sure that your client is getting the ultimate relaxation in the process. So the massage is going to be longer. You're going to incorporate more products, and you're also going to really think about that moisturization throughout that pedicure as well.
Yes. And then we have our specialty pedicures. Specialty pedicures are for fixing a problem.
That's my favorite category.
Yes, fixing a problem. Those who think that they have funguses, but 7 to 8 times out of 10, it's not really a fungus. It's like impacted skin underneath the nail, or just a thickness because of low maintenance. And we're going to definitely explain some things to take into consideration when doing pedicures and why they are very important. But specialty pedicures range anywhere between $100 to $350, and once again, it's a process. It's not anything that you want to just come once, because you have to take it down, file it down, that thick toenail, once you know how to do it. And I think they call them what, BBLs or
toe BBLs.
Yeah, toe BBLs. that is something that's really famous out in social media, but you really need training. You need training and professional training, understanding how to use your e-file, understanding the health of the toenail, also what kind of enhancement to put on it. Because sometimes it can be a gel enhancement or an acrylic enhancement. It just varies. And is one better than the other?
Not necessarily better. Mm-hmm. It's not better. It's what's better for the client. You want to know what's best for your client, and the safety behind doing any type of enhancement on the toenails when you're trying to do a toe BBL. I know that they're popular, and I know you can make a lot of money from them, but our ultimate responsibility as a nail technician is always client safety first.
Definitely. And then the last one, although there's probably a ton more, is like restoration. So you're restoring, once again, that's another process. And there's ways you're restoring the health of the toenail. Athlete's foot is going to be restoration that you can handle it's not out of your scope of practice, to be honest. It's just a matter of knowing what products to use to help them and what they can take home. Because some of the stuff is over the counter as well.
Oh, yeah. It's over the counter. Which I think is great. I think it's great to have things that are over the counter. But like you said, the best pedicure services are going to come from those quality products that have a reputable background and history in the community. Nothing
on Temu or Amazon.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
We're not. You can buy your nail charms, but any chemicals we're going to stay away from.
Yeah, you want to go to a company that specializes in pedicures, because once again, we're talking about people, the way people get around, their main means of transportation. And if their feet hurt, they're not going nowhere. And if you cause that problem, they're not coming back, definitely, because they can't get to you anyway. So let's talk about massaging, because because we talked about the types of massaging in the manicuring chapter. And if a person is diabetic, definitely using Topotment, but knowing your massage techniques and having a, once again, we're going to use this word like until it's in the ground, a system when it comes to massaging. So what's the first step in massaging?
Effleurage. Effleurage is a simple movement. It's rhythmic, and it's like you're rubbing your lotion in. It's not deep tissue. It is surface level, but you are still using rhythmic movements, and you're making conscious decisions about where your hands are going.
But I be rubbing my lotion in like this. Can I do that on the...
If you don't want them to come back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So rhythmic, slow, relaxing movements to rub the lotion in. So like self-care. These pedicures are definitely self-care. So.
Self-care. And you're going to time yourself. Make sure you're timing yourself. Make sure you are giving that client the best service possible and giving them your full attention when they're sitting in your seat.
Yes, and the next one is Petrissage. Petrissage, yes. And it's still rhythmic, but you're giving a little bit more pressure once you ask the client what kind of pressure that they like. And for me, I use a pattern. So pedicures, the massages should be roughly about 5 minutes. So I like to use a rhythm with mine to where it's either 6 one way and drag it down, massaging up with my thumbs, adding pressure, and then coming back down. And I like to stick with the number 6 because in my mind, if I'm doing that a set number of times, that's going to get me to a minute or a minute and a half. So I know if I don't have a timer on with as far as Petrissage is concerned. But that is really the bulk of the massaging that you're doing. You're going to spend more time in that. But in the process, you can also go from Petrissage back to Effleurage if you're using that kind of massage lotion that is going to keep everything smooth and not dry out.
For sure. And between Effleurage and Petrissage, those are usually the movements that you're going to use with most of your most of your manicure and pedicure services in general.
Yes.
When you start talking about Topotment, that's a little bit more of an advanced technique.
It is.
And I would not use it if I was not trained on it, because you really can't hurt someone using Topotment if you are just going by the chop, chop, chop method that you've seen on TV before. Mm-hmm. So you really do want to have some training behind the Topotment. And then the last one is friction. You need training for friction as well.
Yes.
You can create too much pressure. You can also potentially injure your client's skin if you're not using friction correctly. And friction is just taking the skin and turning it in rotating it in 2 different directions with contact on the skin. But again, you can injure someone if you are not properly trained on Topotment and friction. So please make sure that you've gotten the proper training before you try to practice those types of massage.
Yeah, and the other thing with friction too, like men love getting pedicures, but if they have long hair on their legs and you're going to do friction, and say you get a piece of hair because they're long and then you're twisting it, it's going to be uncomfortable. So when we're talking about our products, we want to make sure we're using a moisturizer or a lotion that is meant for massaging, not the water-based lotion that's going to dry during the time of your massaging, because then it's going to be uncomfortable, or you got to put more on. Like it's really like a timing thing, and it's a waste of time. So you want to make sure when you're doing your massaging that you're using quality products, and you're make sure the client is always comfortable throughout the entire process.
Absolutely. And when we talk about using different types of lotions, we were talking earlier also about the different types of chemicals and additives that can be in the products. And one of the reasons why we talk about that is because of contact dermatitis. Contact dermatitis simply means that a person's skin has come into contact with something that their body doesn't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
And if you're using these products and you notice that your client is saying, they've started to itch, or they're developing a little bit of a rash, or more severe that maybe they can't breathe or something like that, then you want to stop your service.
But sometimes if it's tingling, that means it's working.
Yes, unfortunately. But
I'm just saying,
if it's tingling, you need to be very, very careful. It depends on what you're using. If you're using a product and it starts tingling, let's say your product has mint in it. Mm-hmm. Mint does provide a cooling feeling.
Yeah, like eucalyptus as well.
It does. It provides a cooling feeling. And so hopefully your client is aware of what a cooling feeling is versus a rash popping up. And one of the ways that you would be able to tell for sure is if there's redness or swelling or itching or like a hive type of appearance coming up. You would be able to know, like, okay, this is not a result of the product just doing its job. This is a result result of the body reacting to whatever chemicals are in the product that I'm using. And you would want to stop the service, even if they say, oh, it's, you know, not a problem. You stop your service, you wash that product off with a mild soap, warm water, dry them off, and make sure that you encourage them to go see a physician, because we never want anybody to be hurt or something happen based off of a service that we're providing.
And you mentioned warm water, and if that's happening, you want to get different water. So if you have water already and that is happening, you don't want to use the same water that they already had their feet in. You want to make sure that you get fresh, clean water to clean it off, because otherwise you're just putting it back on there.
That's absolutely right. I didn't think about that, but that is so true. Like, it's just the things that you have to think about when you are considering the fact that they are experiencing an allergic reaction to a product that you're possibly using. And the reason why we talk about it more on the feet than the hands is because you're normally using a tub or a basin of water. And pedicures generally take longer than manicures do, and so they're in your presence for longer. And if you're doing a spa pedicure or you're doing some type of specialty pedicure, it can take even longer.
Yes.
So you really want to be aware of any type of discomfort that your client may talk about, and make sure that you address it and don't dismiss it.
And I know we're talking a lot about skin, but there's also some seriousness when it comes with the nails for the hands and the feet. Because what is that skin called that grows up underneath here?
The hyponychium.
The hyponychium. We have the eponychium, which is the skin that you don't want to cut either. And the hyponychium, you definitely don't want to cut. So just like on the nails, the hyponychium can grow up underneath the nail plate, underneath the free edge, but the same thing on the toenails. So you have to make sure that, one, looking at the toenails, you can really see through it. If their toenails are like translucent pink or even not translucent, you'll see like a little V underneath there, and you want to either feel underneath there, try to clean underneath there, or ask the question if you would like your toenails cut down or just filed. And a lot of the times the people will say they just want them filed because they know that there's that skin that grows up underneath there. And the last thing you want to do is cut. Oh, that just gives me chills. It's to cut that underneath there. So it's really going to be key that you pay attention to that part of the pedicure and giving them the best possible services. So we did also talk about the rasp, which can foul on the sides. If a client says, well, I feel like I have an ingrown toenail, can you cut that out? No.
I thought you could.
No. Like, no.
Are you sure? Because we could probably.
No.
Okay.
No. That's
not.
Ingrowns, you would know if it's a true ingrown is because it's going to have like a puffiness to it that would look like it has pus inside of it because it's grown in there. You can actually cause that if you do cut it, because the toenail will grow in there since it grows straight. But if they think it's an ingrown, just say, I'm going to use my rasp, I'm going to cut it out, and then clean out the bottom of it real carefully. And then, pinch the side and say, is it okay? And most likely they're going to say yes, because it's just impacted skin that's down there, because people don't get in there and clean out the bottom of their toenails at all.
And it just keeps, every time you take a shower or we sweat or we're wearing our socks, and it's just getting more impacted with those dead skin particles. And that's where we come in, where we're able to see under there where you can't see, and we can use our implements to really clean up under there. And a lot of times it provides instant relief.
And I do want to add a side note. When people have issues, because my grandfather had issues with his feet, and the podiatrists really just go in and try to eliminate the problem and not fix it. And there are things that you could do as a manicurist, as a nail technician, or a pedicurist to help prevent some issues with their feet. Once again, we're not doctors. We only recognize, recommend, and refer. But a lot of the older generation cannot look at the bottom of their feet. So when they come in, looking at the bottom of their feet, seeing if they can feel some things and explain that to them will help them out. And that is why pedicuring is really, I think it's a humbling service. It's just, I don't know, I love it. Like, because I know that I'm really helping somebody when it comes to their feet, regardless man, woman, or child, because people don't really, they take their feet for granted. Unfortunately.
We always do. We walk outside barefoot. I mean, and the bottom of our feet, they take it and they develop calluses. That's where calluses come from. And that's why it's important not to remove. I don't think we said that.
We didn't talk about not removing
calluses.
Not removing calluses. So if someone comes in and is like, I need it all taken off, that's because they don't know.
They don't know. And sometimes nail technicians don't know.
They don't know. You can't. Why can't we remove all of the calluses?
because the calluses are actually there to protect
Once
the
again,
living skin.
protection, which is a part of the function of the skin.
Yes. And I know that they may be unsightly. They may not even feel good all the time. But calluses are actually there because a client has traumatized that part of their body over and over. And the more traumatized it is, the more that the body says, I need this protection. So if we completely remove that, we are re-traumatizing the body all over again.
This is a lot. This is a lot. So this is definitely not the last episode. There are so many lessons when it comes to pedicuring that we will definitely be covering. And we don't want to bombard you, but we do want to ask for you to put some of your takeaways in the comments below, because we want to know what else it is that you need information on just to make you better as a nail technician. Or if you're ready to enroll into school, we're available because we offer online as well, virtual. Or you could just use this information for yourself to be that educated professional.
Absolutely. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and be ready for the next one.